Hi, everyone. So I have with me Ritu Agarwal. Ritu came to me some 3 months ago, and she had these severe headaches, and she's on her last session. And so I'm going to have Ritu tell us what the issues were when she came and the work we did during the revelations, the transformation, and where she is today. All right, Ritu, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Meena. Hi, everyone. So I am Ritu, and I'm based here in US, in Texas. I started working with Meena last year, almost like towards the end of December. And at that point, I was going through like a series of headaches, almost I would say like 3 to 4 times a week, right? And it was making me very dysfunctional with like my, routine, my life activities, things that I wanted to do. And most of the times, like I could not put my head around like why, what's the reason? Like I'm eating good, I had lost tons of weight. I just went through like the entire series of punch karma. Like there's a lot that I had done on my side, and my headaches would just not leave me. And I was talking to Meena, and it was more like we were talking about like how my punch karma experience was, and I brought the headache up with her, and she said, "Oh, you need like deeper healing work." And here I am, like, gosh, like I have been doing healing work like forever, and she's telling me I need deeper healing work. Okay, so I just something in me just pushed me around to signing up, and decision made within 5 minutes. And here we are. We started with our sessions, and we met like once a week, and I felt like right around I think our third or fourth session, I felt like there is something shifting in me. Like I couldn't name what it is, but I just started to feel happy. Like no matter what was happening around me, everything else remained the same, only I was shifting, and that was like fabulous. Mostly we like as part of our sessions, we talked whatever was coming up, and um I just loved the ease with which Meena told me things. Like I remember our first one of the sessions where I said like there is some guilt, and she said, "Yeah, just delete that word." And I'm like, "What does that even mean? Like delete that word?" And it's only later like that thing just disappeared. Like I didn't notice it, but one day I said, "Oh yeah, like I'm not feeling it that way." So I
Mhm.
would say that there was not like much to intellectualize, but the changes were so profound. And I did a lot of meditations. Like I think Meena has this series, 21 day series. So I went back and forth between different meditations, and it was really hard. Like at first, I felt like I was very tired. I needed to sleep more, and I was like feeling down. But the stuff was stirring up, and this was what I realized that you, Meena, you meant by deeper healing, right? Like scratching those surfaces, those levels. I hadn't even gotten in. I hadn't even touched base with those parts of
Too
me,
much, yeah.
right? That were like so, deep within the subconscious. So that's where our work started to go. And I noticed that instead of thinking, it started to come more to the feeling level. you know so like yeah, like we can think like, oh, I'll, oh, this is what it is, this is what. But I just started to get in touch with what I'm feeling. Like, okay, I'm angry, and yes, I'm angry, or I'm frustrated, or whatever it was. I started to just name those emotions which I wasn't able to name before. Like I would just intellectualize everything, like, oh yeah, like, maybe this went wrong, that's why the headache came, but I just didn't know like what was going on inside of me. So that became like super clear to me. And slowly, what I noticed is that the headache started to go away. And where I am right now is just like maybe once or twice a month. Like it's gone down like from like 3 to 4 times a week to once or twice a month. And the other thing that made a big difference in my life was like just starting to stand up for myself, which I wasn't. Like, even though I thought that I was, but I wasn't, right? And that was like, I was like, some situations came where a boundary was needed, but I didn't pay attention. I kind of ignored, or I distracted myself from that. But I really started to pay attention to that. Like I started to trust what my body was telling me. Like if I had something come up, like uncomfortable, that means that there is something going on that needs attention. So instead of distracting the pain, I started to just let it be, like be with the pain,
Mm-hmm.
allow it to pass, and stay with the process. Because I learned in our sessions that all the healing is a process, and we have to allow it to happen. We have to allow
Yeah.
us to be with it. And that actually started happening practically in the work together. And like our weekly sessions were like, support to come back and learn more, or whatever else is going on, like you were guiding me, and that allowed me to go forward. And it just like I noticed that uh, when there was a lot of work around the awareness, because the things that I did was not aware of before, those
Mm-hmm.
started to become aware. So there was a lot of, like, I would say that things that were happening where I did not pay attention, but I started to become aware. And something inside me told me, like, no, like you can't ignore it. Like you just have to do something about it. Like whether it is like, expressing yourself, or whatever the action needs to be, it has to be taken. And now with practice, it became easier and easier. And the biggest testimony of the difference that this work has made to me, I can give, is when I visited my daughter like last month, right? So she lives in Virginia, and we have a beautiful relationship because she's also done a lot of work on her side with the past trauma and everything. But there was something in our relationship that every time we met, we would fight about something or the other. Like there would be like a point in our interaction where it would be very uncomfortable for me, and I would like decide, like, oh my god, I'm never going to come back here and see her again. Like that was where I always ended. But this time when I went, I just like, that thing just totally disappeared. Like I was just happy. I was allowing things to happen. Even though we were discussing something that would have been uncomfortable for me in the past, I didn't see any kind of a discomfort, on my side. And we just like, the 10 days that we spent together were like the most precious 10 days. She's like almost 30 years old now, so in those many years, like this was the most enjoyable time that I had with her. And it wasn't about her, I think it was more about me that had shifted. And like I didn't have to like make a ton of effort to let go of my expectations. Like we read this all the time, like, oh, don't have expectations, have this, have that. I didn't have to struggle with any of that, like, intellectualize any of that and force it upon myself. It was just happening seamlessly. And I think that was the biggest testimony to me of the type of deeper work, Meena, that you had talked about, and
Yeah.
that had started to come in my life. So, I mean, I could keep on going on with the stories, but I think those were like the biggest differences that I, felt in
Yeah.
all the 3 months that we worked together. Yeah.
Thank you so much. You express it beautifully. You express the results of it. The
Yeah.
process is something that people need to taste and go through themselves. So this is exactly what happens, right? Is you get the results because your life changes. You're
Yeah.
no longer struggling with the things that you struggled with.
Yeah.
And it's effortless.
Yeah,
It
and yeah,
becomes
effortless
effortless.
is, yeah, I would like to add to that, that like I have done a lot of psychotherapy work also with many
Mhm.
different therapists. But I used to always get a headache when I used to come out of the session, because there was so much information coming that I was not able to assimilate and digest. Let and then like it would be like, oh gosh, like it seems like too difficult to work on, you know. But with the process that we went through, that I went through with you, Meena, like it became easier and easier for me. Like just the simplicity with which you talk, and like you'll just in the middle of the session, when I say something, you'll close your eyes, and then something comes up and you'll just express that. It was very beautiful to receive that on my end. And
Oh,
every time I went after our session, in that whole week, things were just manifesting. Like I didn't have to put like tons of effort. Like, yeah, I mean, I have to like sincerely bring myself to the work we are doing.
mhm.
It wasn't like a big load of things that I had to take on or I had to think through. It would be just very small. And then so many times, like you told me, okay, I want you to write upon on these things. And I couldn't, right? And I came back to the next session and I said, no, I wasn't able to. And he said, that's fine, you're not ready for it. And we move on to whatever the next
Next
thing.
thing.
Like,
Yeah.
so it's not like it was just very, very effortless. Like
Yeah.
receiving of the knowledge and the experiences from your side was very easy for me. And I didn't feel like, oh my God, this is like another big thing in my life that I have to do, that I have to put
Mhm.
tons of amount of work or time or energy to it. It was pretty simple, the whole process to go through. And even if something didn't happen, it's not meant to be. Just trusting that part is
Yeah.
something that I learned in the journey.
And it's just something that you look forward to because it relieves your stresses, it
Yeah.
expands your thinking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and everything that you talk about energy, like I can so gel with it. Like I can just like I've like apart from our sessions also, I've watched a lot of your videos and I've commented on some of them. I think all that speaks, exactly to where I am in the journey of life and what is the experience that I'm going through. All of that speak to that, and even the meditations, even though they are recorded and they were recorded like a few years back by you, but
Mhm.
every time I took on a meditation and I'm in it, I'm like, gosh, does she know what's going on with me right now? Because she's saying exactly the same things that I am feeling right now. Like
Yes.
they
Yeah.
are like to the point in the moment and really address what's needed for the healing work to happen.
Yeah. It actually is like that, so very good. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been a joy to work with you, and you thank you
Oh,
so much for
yeah,
expressing so beautifully.
yeah, same here. Thank you, Meena.
Thank you.